Today we're going to talk about Java classes, aliases, and null, and then the keyword this. Object references play an important role in a program. An object and an object reference variable are two different things. An object reference variable stores the address of an object, even though we don't know the address ourselves. When we use the dot operator to call the object's methods, we are really using the address in a reference variable to find the object, look up the method, and then invoke it. Values that are passed to a method or constructor are referred to as the actual parameters, or you might hear them called arguments, while the variables in the parameter list of the method declaration are referred to as formal parameters. When an actual parameter is of a primitive data type, its value cannot be changed in the method because only the value of the variable is sent to the method. With parameters, primitives are passed by value. Formal parameter variables become a copy of the actual parameter. The method cannot alter the value of the actual parameter variable because it's only getting a copy. And objects are passed by reference, which is a little bit different. Objects are passed by reference. That means that when an object is passed to a method, the method has the ability to change the state of the object. When an actual parameter is an object, it is the object reference that is the parameter. When the method receives the reference and stores it in a formal parameter variable, the method now has the ability to change the state of the object because it knows where the object exists in memory. The formal parameter is now an alias of the actual parameter. With references, an object reference variable holds the memory address of an object. So when you print an object and you haven't overrode the default toString, you get what looks like a hexadecimal value. That's the memory location of the object. Still doesn't mean a lot to you and me, but that is the way the computer outputs the memory location. Rather than dealing with arbitrary addresses, we often depict a reference graphically as a pointer to an object. And here's an example. We have declared and instantiated a new chess piece object. We're going to call it bishop1. And so bishop1 now points to this white bishop that we see on the screen, which is different than what we do with our primitive data types. With our primitive data types, the active assignment takes a copy of a value and stores it in a variable. So for primitive types, we look at this example right here. If we had two int variables, num1, which had the value of 5, and num2, which had the value of 12, if we do a simple, got to back up. If we do a simple assignment and we take num1 and we assign it to num2, both num1 and num2 then have the value 5, but they each have their own copy of the 5. They're not sharing the 5. But this is where references are different when you are passing objects in. For object references, assignment copies the memory location. So we can see in my example right here that I've got two objects. I've got bishop1, which points to the white bishop, and I've got bishop2, which points to the black bishop. If I do this simple assignment, bishop1 assigned to bishop2, look what happens. Now both bishop1 and bishop2 are pointing to the white bishop, and the black bishop is just lost in memory. It no longer has anything identifying or tying to it, so we can no longer access it. Here, bishop1 and bishop2 are aliases of each other. So whatever bishop1 does to the white bishop, bishop2 is reflecting the same change. Okay? And whatever bishop2 does, bishop1 is impacted by that same change. Again, these are known as aliases. So another way to think of references is to think of a superhero with his or her secret identity. And let's take Superman as an example. Clark Kent, everybody know who Clark Kent was? You've watched Superman before? Clark Kent was just another name for a person. He was still Superman the whole time. So even though he might have been wearing his trousers and his white shirt and tie and his trench coat, he was still Superman underneath that business attire. They were the same guy with the same superpowers, the same attributes, and the same ability to perform cool superhero actions. Therefore, Clark Kent was simply a reference created to refer to the same guy. If Superman dyed his hair blonde because it was trendy, then both Clark Kent and Superman will have blonde hair. Clark Kent and Superman are two names that reference the same guy, so any changes will be reflected in all the references. Well, this is exactly what's happening with our objects inside of Java. So two or more references that refer to the same object are called aliases of each other. One object and its data can be accessed using different reference variables. Aliases can be useful, but they should be managed carefully because what one alias does affects all the others, and you may not realize that that effect is happening, or you may not intend for that effect to happen. So changing the object state, its variables, through one reference changes it for all of its aliases. So how do I have multiple objects without creating aliases? Well, that's easy. You create a new object through the declaration instantiation statement. You don't do it through assignment. Assignment creates aliases. So how do we know whether two objects are aliases of each other? Well, we test for equality. The equality operator compares object references for equality, and it returns true if the references are aliases of each other. For example, if we have bishop 1, we use the equality operator, bishop 2. If they are the same, then the equality operator is going to return true. And so how do we know if they're the same? Well, when BlueJ or your IDE runs that equality, what it's doing is it's going and looking for the memory location, and it's returning true if the memory location for bishop 1 and bishop 2 are the exact same. A method called equals, and we've used equals before, a method called equals is defined for all objects, but unless we redefine it when we write a class, it has the same semantics as the equality operator. We can redefine the equals method to return true under whatever conditions we think are appropriate. We do use objects as parameters in our methods. Parameters in a Java method are passed by value. This means that a copy of the actual parameter, the value passed in, is stored into the formal parameter in the method header, in the method call. Passing parameters is therefore similar to an assignment statement. When an object is passed to a method, the actual parameter, the method call, and the formal parameter, the method header, become aliases of each other. What you do with a parameter inside a method may or may not have a permanent effect outside of the method. So let's look at an example and note the differences between changing the references and changing the object that the reference points to. So this is parameter passing.java, and you can study the code on the screen. Parameter passing.java sets up 3 variables, 1 primitive and 2 objects, to serve as actual parameters to the change values method. It prints their values before and after the method call. So I'll give you a moment to study the 2 sections of system.out.println lines. All right. Here is the parameter tester. Parameter tester.java demonstrates the effects of passing various types of parameters. Again, I'll give you a moment just to study the screen here. But we can look up in our method header change values, and we can see where we're passing in an int, a num object, and then a second num object. And then num.java represents a single integer as an object. Another way to think of passing by value is like obviously it's making a copy of the data. So if I had a worksheet and I went and I made a photocopy of the worksheet and I gave that worksheet to you, I have a copy, you have a copy. You write on your worksheet. Does that change what's on my piece of paper my worksheet? And the answer is no, because we each have separate copies. However, when you pass by reference, it's kind of like sharing a Google Doc. Okay, I create my worksheet in Google Doc, and I give you editing rights to that Google Doc. Now when you start making changes to the Google Doc or you start writing on the Google Doc, that does affect what I see on my end because we're sharing the same document through Google Docs. Well, that's what happens when we make aliases with our references. We're sharing it, even though there's multiple copies or multiple versions, or they have different names, we're still sharing it. So what one person does is affected by the other. Let's talk about null. We've talked about null a little bit already, but a null pointer exception error occurs if you attempt to perform a method on a reference variable that is null. To prevent getting a null pointer exception error, you can perform a null check. And this is all about making your programs robust, because if an object is null and we try to use it in some way, then it could cause our program to break. So we want to check first if it's null and then be able to react if it is null. By comparing the reference variables using the equality operator or the not equal comparer. Do not use the equals method to perform a null check. You'll get a null pointer exception if you do. An object reference variable that does not currently point to an object is called a null object or a null reference. The reserved word null can be used to explicitly set a null reference. And this is how you would set a null reference. To check to see if a null or if a reference is currently null, then again we can use the equality operator here. If name equality operator is null, then this is how we make our program robust. We indicate that we have an invalid input or we're using an invalid reference. An object reference variable declares that the class level and instance variable is automatically initialized to null. The programmer must carefully ensure that an object reference variable refers to a valid object before it is used. Attempting to follow a null reference causes the null pointer exception error to be thrown. And usually a compiler will check to see if a local variable is being used without being initialized. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about today is this reference. This reference will not appear on the AP test, so you don't have to worry about that. But I do want to cover it in case you see it in some code or it happens to appear in one of our labs. This reference allows an object to refer to itself. That is, this reference used inside a method refers to the object through which the method is being executed. And I've given you a really good example of using this in the code that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. So we have this class called whatever, and whatever has two private variables. It's got A and it's got B, and they're both ints. Then we have a whatever constructor here. And the constructor has two parameters. It has A and it has B, and they're both ints. When we create an object using that constructor and we pass in the actual parameters or the arguments into A and B, we want to be able to assign that over to the class level variables A and B. But there's so much confusion going on because I've got two sets of A's and I've got two sets of B's, and which one are you referring to? So this is where we use this reference. So in the constructor body where we've got this.A assignment A, well, the this.A is referring to the class level instance variables. And the A that's being assigned, that's the actual argument that's coming in from the constructor. So I hope this presentation helped you understand a little bit better on reference variables, the null reference, as well as the this reference.